detective. Thrill me.
Thanks for joining us again. Another episode. This time we're in the action genre. The Fugitive from '93. Is this our first Harrison Ford picture? I think it could be.
I think so.
Cranky old bastard. Sorry.
Yeah.
Before we get into that though, quick bit up or down. Quick bit up or down. Terminator Dark Fate trailer dropped. Directed by Tim Miller, who did Deadpool. Stars Arnie and Linda Hamilton. Produced by James Cameron. What do you guys think? Before I get to my thoughts.
It didn't do a lot for me.
Is it a down or an up?
Sort of. I think it's a down. The opening part of it with the Terminator chasing behind them, where he kind of goes
Melts
through the
out of it.
windscreen.
Yeah.
I looked at that and I'm like, that's not that much. It's not that far removed from what the T1000 was doing.
Yeah.
Like, we're supposed to be blown away by that, and it did look fairly cool. But it's like, what's new here? Where are we going here? But as it all played out, it just left me cold for some reason.
Yeah.
There's barely a mention of Arnie in it.
It's
only in it for one sequence.
To be honest, I don't want Arnie to have anything to do with the next Terminator. Just not because is it like that show was redundant. Like even in the second one,
T800, yeah.
I don't necessarily want him looking like a giant, like 6'2" bodybuilder because it's so conspicuous. Like you'd think you'd want him to just like hide in the shadows, right?
What about the Terminator Salvation, the deleted scene, General Candy or whatever his name was? Do you want Arnie like that?
Oh my god, was that? Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, the one where it's Arnie and he's sitting there going, the state of the art with that big Texan accent, and they go to the other guy. Well, can we do something about his accent? And the guy that responds goes, well, we can fix it. It's fucking ridiculous.
No wonder it was on the cutting room floor. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, the fourth one wasn't very good. Hey,
No.
I just don't see where they can take it to keep it interesting. It's just going to be a cash in with a few special effects.
Nor was the last one. The last one.
They were all. I am a hard down.
I didn't even realise it had happened.
I believe Gibbo was also a hard down. He gave us a quick rundown, so he is not interested in
I'm keen to
this.
see what it is because
I
did like Linda Hamilton coming in and just bazookaing the shit out.
Yeah, that was probably the one bit where I was kind of like, yeah, okay, I can get on board with it. But the rest of it it didn't look like we're getting anything.
I can't wait to see the bit where she like thinks she has the knowledge on these things. But then gets surprised by something different it can do.
I'm hoping they've held it all back. And
they didn't do it for the last one, so maybe they've learned a lesson.
Yeah, that was one of their biggest mistakes in the last one. But
my problem is this: I love the Terminator, I love the first film and the sequel, but to me that story was told at the end of part 2, and I've at this stage been proven correct by the fact that the last 3 films have been all shit.
Yeah,
right. There's probably good stories to tell, but they seem to have not been able to find the right people.
Well, the thing for me is,
and it just doesn't do it for me.
Maybe it has a new shell, right?
There's always a good story out there somewhere. I just don't know why they're butchering it. Like, the concept is there for someone to do something with. It's like the Predator stuff, mate.
Yeah.
Like, we got a couple of decent ones out of there. We've got some stinkers there too, but there's some ideas to run with.
Oh, of course.
And as I've said to you, the Terminator TV series was pretty good. The Sarah Connor Chronic.
It just seems that
was pretty good.
Paramount or whoever they're working with just seems... Like, James Cameron, don't get me wrong, he's back in a producing role, but he was spruiking Genesis. He was spruiking Genesis, so I don't take him. I take his stuff with a grain of salt. Yeah. I take it as
I'd spruik it too.
Cameron's back.
He's got the bends from being down in the sea too.
Yeah.
He said he's finally got the rights back in his own hands. He says, "Oh yeah, look, I'll produce
But
I need some
honestly,
quick cash so I can
honestly,
get,
I don't
make
think
I've
he
got
gives a-
Avatar sequels.
he doesn't
to
give a
make.
flying fuck about Terminator anymore.
No.
It's just the cash cow. That's all it
Exactly.
is.
He told
'Cause he's
his
doing
story.
He's building his boats and going to the bottom of the ocean and filming 17 more Avatar movies. So he hasn't got any time for Terminator.
Yeah.
I'll listen to him
And
talk.
he told
I'm
his...
so interested in James Cameron. He's building it. Do you know what he's doing at the moment? He's building, like, he's legit building the some sort of a sphere
To go
to the bottom of the ocean,
Yeah.
so he can check it out himself.
Yep.
He's
No,
a
but
little
he
bit
did do
insane.
that, didn't he?
So when you're
Yeah,
doing
he's
that,
put it together, but I think he wants to make it just a general.
so
thing.
think about the time that's taken up in your life and whether you can punch out a Terminator script.
He's not punching there in his Terminator script, mate. He's not
I
interested.
think someone just dropped it on his desk and he didn't even fucking flick through it. Rubber stamp, bingo, there you go. That's it. Just
I'm
put my name on
producing-
the credits.
And later
Give me
on, he
my
was
cut.
told, he was tapped on the shoulder and said, "Yeah, you're producing this film. You've got to do press." And he's like, "Oh, what? I do press? Ah, bloody hell!" So he's just sitting there going, "Oh, it's brilliant." It comes right back to the second film. The
Was
thing
he
is,
was involved in the leader, right? That was his.
yeah, he wrote the script.
I think he wrote the script, but I think it had been kicking around for a few
Yeah.
years. So this was before he was building ocean vessels.
He told his Terminator story in the first and the second,
Yeah.
and
The second one's just so good that I could never be satisfied going in.
yes,
Really, to be honest.
T2. I mean, seeing that guy come out of the windscreen in the new trailer, I was just like, still doesn't look as good as T2.
No, it doesn't.
And I'm like, so a movie from fucking 30 years ago still wipes the floor with you.
Yeah.
You know,
It
like,
was so good.
because I remember, and I probably said this on the podcast before, I went and saw T2 in the old cinema in Civic. That they had one cinema, it was massive, and it was a full house, and people were absolutely gobsmacked when T1000 came out onto screen. You just not you don't get that anymore, and maybe it's time for Cameron to step aside and we find someone who might have a story idea.
Let's get more interested.
Let's be clear, he's done that.
No, just step right aside. Just stop cashing checks. You know, just step fully out of it and say, well, look, it's someone else's baby now, and we want someone with fresh ideas. It just feels like they're treading over the same ground.
Let's just cut
Skynet and all
let's
this
just cut
stuff.
out the middleman and fucking sell it to Disney. That's what,
Seems everyone else is
doing.
interested in that. All right, so we're all hard down on that one, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle. I'm still kind of
I'm
interested.
still going to see it, and there's still just a. It's like, you know, there's one ember on the fire that's still burning for Terminator.
Look, the last ember flew up, landed in me boot. I'm not happy.
Yeah, the last ember set your fucking pants on fire. You've been filthy ever since, mate.
Now, this is more right in my wheelhouse for good laughs, but Sylvester Stallone recently said that he's considering doing a streaming series version of Cobra.
Whoa.
I'm sorry. Why am I not taking this
As I
seriously?
said, mate, you were dirty that we were in for more Rambo. Imagine how you're going to be when we're in for more Marion Cobretti.
No, because surely Stallone won't be in it.
No, I don't think he'll be in it. But the way he was talking about it, it was an absolute bloody knee slapper, mate. He was sitting there, he was talking about how it was. We messed it up, but it was such a great opportunity to. We had all this, you know, we had this visions and all this sort of stuff, and I messed it up. But we're still trying to get it on a streaming services.
Oh my God, Sylvester!
I don't think.
Stop! Quit while you're ahead,
I think
mate.
where Sylvester is mistaken that it wasn't your fault, Sylvester. It was everyone's fault. Everyone that had any ideas about that one messed it up.
I love the fact that the article I read ended with the film was critically panned. I'm like, yeah, perhaps I should read that line before he starts putting together a TV
Yeah.
series.
Everyone knows what it is, though. It's got some, it's
I
got
think
some
it's-
recognition, right?
I think it's one of those kind of, you know, ironic favourites. Like, you know, it's fucking stupid, but it's Sylvester, and it's one of, you know,
And well, it's 80s Sylvester too.
and it's the
you know?
height of 80s excess and
Yeah.
bullshit, and
So you go watch it.
And Sylvester can't wait to bring it to be like
When
the
it pops up
90s
on
and
Amazon
2000s.
Prime.
bullshit.
I'm currently in tears talking about it, but if it was on Netflix today, I'd stream the whole fucking season on the spot.
Yeah, true. So would I.
Sylvester would have to be in it. And it'd have to be set in the 80s.
I need Stallone.
How does Marion Cobretti look in modern day? It doesn't happen. It doesn't work. It's got to be set in the 80s.
He's got tight diesel jeans on and he's got...
Marion Cobretti doesn't pass his fucking probation as a police officer in the modern day. Marion, can you just drop past HR? They're going to have another chat to you, mate.
There's a three strikes and you're out policy, Marion, and currently you've hit strike 4. You've recently been driving around like an arsehole. I see no reason to watch this, but I probably will. I think this one may see through. I think Sly was in a drugged haze or something.
Mate, he's just in. He's just getting overexcited about the reception he got to the Rambo trailer. He can't.
Oh yeah, hang on. Let's bring that up. I was a hard out on Rambo Last Blood. They leaked the trailer from Cannes.
Yep.
I'm hard in. Straight back in. It doesn't take much to grab me, but I'm straight back into it.
Yeah, I saw it. Sly was on point. It's coming together beautifully. It looks
the trailer's coming together beautifully. I don't think the film's not. But yeah, look. Rambo Last Blood, it looked like it had that, it went for sort of an emotional heartstrings type of trailer somewhat. The end of the Rambo franchise. So I came back in immediately.
Mate, Sylvester's
very invested.
Sylvester's cooking up that crow as we speak.
Yeah. He's ready. It's juicy. All right. Well, let's move on to our feature for the evening. Here's the trailer for 1993's The Fugitive.
I came home. There was a man in my house. He had an artificial arm.
Are you saying that I killed my wife? Are you saying that I crushed her skull and that I shot her?
Ladies and gentlemen, listen up. We have a fugitive that's been on the run for 90 minutes. Average foot speed over uneven ground, barring injury, is 4 miles an hour. That will give you a radius of 6 miles. What I want out of each and every one of you is a hard target search of every gas station, residence, warehouse, farmhouse, henhouse, outhouse, or doghouse in this area. Checkpoints will go up at 15 miles. Your fugitive's name is Dr. Richard Kimball. Go get him.
The Fugitive from 1993, directed by Andrew Davis, who directed Under Siege. Produced by Arnold Coppelson, who produced Platoon and Seven. It's written by Jeb Stewart, who wrote Die Hard and Lock Up. And David Toohey, who wrote Waterworld and Pitch Black. And it's based on characters created by Roy Huggins. It stars Harrison Ford as Dr. Richard Kimball, Tommy Lee Jones as Samuel Gerard, Celia Ward as Helen Kimball, and Jerome Crabb as Dr. Charles Nichols. Budget was a solid $44 million, and it made $368 million worldwide. Now, originally, Julianne Moore's character had a bigger role in the film. Even after she exposes him briefly, Kimball was to have sought her out for help and eventually fall for her. These scenes were filmed and deleted from the final cut. This is the reason why her name is still credited as one of the main stars.
That would be bloody horrible.
I know.
If on
Thank
his
the
vengeance...
Lord, somebody smartened up on that.
God.
All right, Matty. Since you've seen this one,
I saw
not
this
the
one.
Fugitive 2.
It's a start for that.
What?
We just confirmed that you weren't watching the 60s TV series.
That's what we're talking about, right?
or the 90s revamp TV series. Give it to us, mate.
Yeah, look, I watched this. I was interested the whole way. I liked the banter. I liked the plot. Some of it was a bit telegraphed, but I enjoyed the whole movie, and maybe especially after watching the previous week's non-movie that I wasn't meant to. I really, really enjoyed this one. So I'm happy to give it, like I said, when I first watched it, 4.5, but thinking back to some of the holes in it, easily 4.
All right, Jared?
Yeah, I'm pretty much in line there. I think it's does a really good job of keeping you on your toes the whole way. Some very good acting performances. The story is satisfying enough when it all unravels, and it keeps you invested for the entire runtime. So, I probably went for the 4.5. I think
4.5.
I think a lot of the stuff's derivative since, and I hadn't seen it before, so I was sort of, I must be like a bit jaded from that for sure. But
look, for me,
imagine if you saw that in the cinema, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, I'm sort of in your range, Matty. I gave it 4. It's tense. It's a good, solid chase film. It gets heaps of mileage out of 2 really committed performances.
Yep.
There's a little bit of sag in the middle for me. That's personal. And Kimball at times, he's the most wanted man in the world, but he's just wandering into hospitals getting information however he feels like. But you let that go, because even the reveal of what it was all about, I was initially thinking about that, I remember that being a bit confusing and a bit kind of convoluted, but when you actually watch it, they lay it out pretty well.
Straight down
the line. Even the stuff about swapping tissue samples and everything, it just kind of comes together really well. Yeah, and so 4 out of 5 for me. To kick off, Tommy Lee Jones won an Oscar for this, and he's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
But Harrison Ford, equally as good.
Yeah.
Doesn't he play aloof
Look.
so well?
Harrison can't fly a plane, but he can act. I'll give him that. And
look, I'll give him some credit. I believe he's rescued people in his plane, but these days he shouldn't be flying.
but he rescues him off a mountain and then takes it down into a golf course.
Yeah, well, he nearly undid all that good work by sending the passenger jet off the fucking runway. But anyway, I think he's excellent, and Tommy Lee Jones is just, because one of them is on screen at all time, basically. At all times, it's just, you constantly just being delivered these excellent performances from go to woe.
Yeah.
The funny thing for me is even when Tommy Lee Jones is at career best and he's likeable, he's still playing a gruff, likeable asshole.
But you have character development too, and they put lines in there that you're like, that's interesting, and then they bring it back later on. You know?
Yeah.
And as I said before, it's a cat and mouse game between 2 intelligent characters.
Yeah.
Not Ford's on the run, he's been falsely accused, and the police are all idiots.
Well, I think
sometimes this is how those movies play out.
Well, the police in this,
the Chicago
police, the Chicago police are.
Yeah.
But one of the best things they did was that Tommy Lee Jones is, although his job is still to catch Kimball, and he's still doing that, he's still picking up the pieces as he goes along, and the doubt's creeping in, and he's investigating the other angles, and you kind of knew that's where it was going to go. It sort of had to, but it's better than the alternative of getting someone who's just blatantly refusing to see what's in front of them.
Yeah, and I actually love the banter between him and his team.
Yeah,
there's a real natural vibe to it.
Excellent.
It's really, really nice. It feels like a family kind of thing, and I really like that, and I think that works out really well.
Yeah, the likes of Joe Pantoliano playing off him pretty well. And as you said, you don't let him give her any shit about your ponytail. Love that young man, and shit like that. The donuts and coffee and all that.
And I the thing I love about it being like a two-hander is that he always feels Kimball's being hunted. There's no time where the character's getting a breath
Yeah,
and as
yeah.
the audience member, you're not getting the breath either.
That's it. Even
Because
when
you
he's-
know that Gerard's still there.
And as you said, like he kind of wanders around and finds his way into wherever he
Sort of
wants to
stumbles
go.
into the bloody prosthetics
He's
area.
not even bothering to put a scarf on or a bloody Groucho mask
Yeah,
or
that's
anything
right.
like that. Like, but
Pops the collar, that's it.
it kind of adds to this sense of, fuck, you're sitting there going, just be careful.
Yeah,
Kimball.
yeah.
Come on, what are you doing, man?
And I love that line from Gerard where he goes, "You're not going to use the press," and he's like, "No, we want him to settle back in, trying to re-establish his life." Basically, he's going to cock up somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
If we put the press out there, he knows he goes underground. So those things are really cool. The direction is excellent because everything's clean and crisp. All the action scenes and the tense scenes, you know everything, exactly what's going on. It's got a real high sort of quality about it. And it's really well edited as well. I think some of the editing work, when they're cutting in between Gerard coming after him and Kimball trying to make a bolt out of one of the, out of the hospital or the prison, which the prison one's one of my favourite sequences where he's trying to get out of the prison. But it's just really well directed and edited.
Andrew Davis went the Gregory Hoblet route.
He went up.
Top of the world for a while, and then TV movies. And
Oh, did you remember Collateral Damage? Holy
yeah.
shit. Woo.
Well forgotten that one.
Oh, yeah. Steer clear of that. And as a director, he gets excellent performances out of everyone. And that's the mark of a good director, is to actually get your actors to produce in this type of film.
One of the best scenes for me, for some reason, was the opening police interview.
Yeah, I love it.
It played out just like, now that you see all these Netflix docos and you see these kind of, the futility that some people face in the police, in the face of police that have made up their mind about what's happened, and try to make the questioning go that way. The fact that he's like breaking down, going, they killed my wife, and then you hear, whilst he's doing that guy's peppering him, and he's going, what do you look like? His hair? What colour his eyes?
We can't help you.
It plays out on that futility so well. It's just like, it doesn't matter what he says, they've made up their mind.
Yeah.
And it's just, it works.
But
out
I
really
love
well.
the fact
Set
that
the tone.
first 15 minutes gives us a quick understanding of their relationship through flashbacks while he's being interviewed.
Yeah.
His version of events. And I really love that bit where he starts going, when I came home, there was a man in my house. I fought with that man. You find that man,
Yeah.
And obviously he's just
They bring
talking
that
to
back too.
nobody,
Yeah.
Like he's just talking, they're not listening to him at all. And we also get that quick flashback of being at that gala where we meet some key people that will come back later.
Yeah.
But you don't know it yet. All you're getting is this kind of sense of Kimball,
You're focused entirely on him,
on Kimball.
on what he's doing.
Yeah.
The other stuff is
and
irrelevant.
by
at that
15
point.
minutes, he's been arrested, charged, and convicted.
On the bus,
Yeah.
basically.
And on the bus.
Yeah.
And the conviction, let's be honest, and taking back what you said before about the Netflix docos, with all the evidence, you would think he did it.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
think
that's-
about it. No,
Fingernails.
we had scratches on his face, no forced entry. It's his gun. Her phone call, it says, Richard, he's trying to kill me.
Yeah. You'd think they could
He-
disprove some
you
of
could
it.
see how a
at that point in
prosecution
time,
would do it.
At that point in time, in 1993 or whatever it was, it's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Like, case done,
I'd be like questioning though. How is his? I had a big problem with the whole. He's like the whitest guy ever.
It's got to be like
With all the
Bloodspatter
character
and
references. Like I don't see how they would convict this bloke.
But I love
But-
the fact that it was you could cop it.
Yeah, but I didn't
way
really
they
think
laid it
about
out,
that
you could
until
cop
later
it.
on. Yeah,
You could actually cop the fact that because a prosecutor would leap all over that shit.
yeah.
And your defence team's going, it was the one-armed man. And everyone's going, what?
That's not going to be a defence, surely though. You're not picking a prosthetic arm bloke.
No, but you are, because that's what he'd all been saying the whole time. I fought with a one-armed man. There was a one-armed man in my house.
Yeah.
I mean, there's your defence. The defence team's going, holy shit, we're in big trouble. Who's got the heart to tell him he's fucked?
imagine that.
I would have gone the sleepwalking route personally.
Look, I was asleep. I didn't know what was going on.
He's telling me he fought a one-armed man. Judge, can we have a little conversation about insanity, please? And things like that. Yeah, it's kind of... it works really well for this.
The insurance money, that was another thing.
It works really well for this, but you can see how it was a natural for Leslie Nielsen. It's a parody. It was a one-eyed, one-legged, one-eyed man.
What does he say to him in that film? He says, shoot yourself in the head.
If I'm correct, shoot yourself in the head 3 times. Very good.
Oh God, is that movie on Stan? I'm gonna watch that. I love it.
Oh dear.
I also love the fact that the bus crash is excellent.
Yeah, that whole scene's good.
And
you're looking
because you actually feel like, holy shit, he's not going to get out of it.
Yeah, you're looking at him straight away to solve. Oh, he's a doctor. We'll unlock him, and then he escapes somehow.
Yeah.
But then everything else that unfolds, they give it a bit of time, and he gets away, and it's just so much more satisfying.
Yeah. And I love the fact that he gets an injury too, because it chucks another obstacle in his way.
The pace
which you forget about later on, though.
The pace that Harrison was moving out of the crash, I thought it was Leslie Nielsen. He wasn't moving with pepper.
But I also love the fact that he basically saves the guard.
Yeah.
And then he looks to the other guard and says, help me out. And the bloke just goes, you're on your own.
Yeah, that's right.
Pisses off, you know.
And then he takes the credit for it later on.
That's right, yeah.
Cheeky little fella. Good moustache, though.
Great nose. Again, I just can't forget him have him on his hands and knees in a toilet, plunging dunnies, and he's Deuce Bigelow's father, I believe. So that's the only thing I can remember him from.
Why does this movie have so many links to stupid?
I don't know.
I felt like that bus was a bit like the Freddy Krueger bus. I was watching it go over
the
rails.
school bus style.
Yeah.
I also love the fact that he says to him, you listen here, I don't care which way you go, but just don't come my way. And then he says to him, hey, be good. And he just kind of looks at him and smiles, and that's it, you know. And again, it comes back later, but I actually forgot about him, which is surprising because I've seen this movie so many times, but I almost forgot about the bloke.
Yeah.
And I love the way it comes back.
Yeah, I watched that straight away, and I was like, nah, he's coming back. He's gonna be the guy that they're gonna pin later on. That thing with the bus though, with the guy, I love the words. Like I look back at the words and I was like, "Give me a hand with this man." And he's like, "To hell with you, Doc." And then he jumps out. It's so much funnier when you read it back.
That's superb dialogue.
Yeah,
that's natural.
That feels out of Rob Wilkins. Gerard,
obviously they didn't have the car.
He's trying to pay the toll. He's got
like
oh man, I'm watching that shit tomorrow. Gerard's introduction at the accident scene is awesome, and probably the best monologue of the entire movie, where he does the bit. But I love the fact that he says, you know, oh, we found leg irons with no legs in them, you know.
Yeah, that was great, wasn't it? Straight away, he's making them look like idiots.
Yeah,
right?
I have a large caveat to that scene, but his work in it is top notch. The way that he kind of just, you know, they brush him off and he kind of just waits his moment to interject and then just tears it apart. It's like, that was top notch. And then he
just whips out the whole, you know, our fugitive's name's Dr. Richard Kimball. Go get him.
It immediately establishes his cred because he tears what they're doing apart, but then as soon as he takes over,
he gets right on it.
He just gives
roadblocks.
Everything he says, the way he talks about the foot speed.
Yeah.
So the average foot speed is 4 kilometres or whatever it is, and then he's like, he's been on the run for 90 minutes. That gives us 6 miles. We need a radius of this and that, and it's like, okay, this guy's done this shit before. And he's done it a lot, and he's done it well. Like.
And straight away when he says to the guard as well, do you want to change your bullshit story? You're just like, oh, he's just going to just start tearing assholes and making this a legitimate.
Kimball actually makes, like, I like the fact that they take a bit of time to he makes decent decisions. He gets some clothing. He changes his clothing, so he gets out of the jumpsuit. He goes to the hospital to get medication for his wound. He then shaves. And they still throw in those little tight, sort of tense moments where he's in the bathroom and she goes, "Oh, you've drunk all your water. I better get oh shit!" He's hiding behind the door.
Poor Mr. Johnson does not know what's going on around him,
and he misses out on making an egg breaking the bus.
The best is like, "Oh, thirsty today," and he's just like a vegetable in there.
It's not setting off any red flags, is it? Yeah. Mr. Johnson hasn't had a drink in 6 weeks. He's knocked over his old water bottle this morning.
And I love the fact that I really had to laugh at that sequence where he comes out and he's got he shaved his beard and everything, he slicked his hair back and he's dressed in the doctor's kit. He's walking on the boat, goes, Doc, have you seen this guy?
Yeah.
6'2", blah, blah, blah. And he says, every time I look in the mirror, without the beard, then he goes, Doc. And he fucking flies undone.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, zip, sorry.
So they build the tension.
Yeah. You think for a second he's going to go, that's you.
Wait a minute. Yeah, that's good. Inconspicuously steals an ambulance. I was like,
that was.
why not?
That's a dislike. That's a dislike for me.
I also liked when he says, "Oh, this man's got whatever he says, a puncture or whatever," and the guy's wheeling him in and goes, "How can he tell that from looking at his face?" They played some of that stuff out really well. Those opening hospital bits.
I really like the scene in the sewer pipes.
Yeah. Before we get to that though, in the tunnel before that, how polite is Tommy Lee to everyone? Get back in your car, sir. That guy looked like George Wentz.
He was blowing up deluxe.
And then he just shuts up.
He does it later on too. He says to that girl, she starts crying. He just goes, "Shut up."
Yeah, we've got to go for. I like that. I like that whole bit.
I really like that, and I think that I didn't kill my wife. I don't care.
Yeah.
I think Tommy Lee.
It was such a notable.
He was improvising.
He changed it. Yeah, it was something else. It was supposed to be. I can't remember what the line was.
Yeah, he was supposed to. He was supposed to sort of feel for him or something like that. Yeah. It was supposed to be more. It
was supposed to be like a kind of a cold response, but basically this is my job kind of thing. But he rewrote it to "I don't care."
Yeah,
which works.
It works
tremendously well.
Yeah. Because at that point, what's he going to do? He's just like, that when he reveals that second gun too. Didn't expect it. I liked it.
Pulls it out of his little pack. I've got a dislike to this sequence that happens before it, but I kind of like the little sort of bait and switch of the we've got Kimball, he's shacked up with a woman, we're going in, and it turns out to be the other bloke.
Copeland.
Yeah. I mean, you should have expected it, but it still worked well because it kind of like cuts quickly away from Kimball getting picked up to them going, we found him,
Yeah.
So your initial inference is, well, they must be right on him because they've built up Gerard as being a smart guy who's on his hammer. Mm-hmm. You could have seen it happening. So I like that. As I said, it's got a dislike, and I'll bring it up. It's an amusing dislike for me. I also like how they throw in that quick jolt of the mother and son being arrested, where Kimball's living.
Yeah,
and
I like that scene even before that when he
looks out the window and he sees the cops. He's like, shit.
Yeah, when he's picking that apartment and they're talking Russian to each other or whatever it is, and then you find out later on he's probably saying he's the wanted felon. Yeah. To his mum or whatever, but they're more crooked than him.
Yeah, they don't give a shit.
They're like, whatever, he's going to pay us, and we can turf him at any point we want.
Where was he getting his money from?
He got it out of Dr. Nichols' bloody
had a bit of cash,
didn't he?
Yeah.
Fair old handoff.
Bloody hell, he could get a couple of months rent.
Yeah, I don't know where he got
we
that.
don't know how much, because he's just come from the country club or whatever, and he said, but he's told the police he's only giving him a couple of bucks, but it might have been...
Yeah, hundreds.
He's European, could be 1,000.
Don't forget, this was before we had the pay wave and all. You had to carry a wad of cash on that. So
it might have been smarter for him to say I gave him a credit card or something.
Yeah.
One of my favourite sequences is the prison when he goes to see Driscoll, and then the escape out of there into the St. Paddy's Day parade.
Yeah, that was good.
I really loved the bit
tension, right?
Yeah, because you see Gerard coming down one set of stairs and Kimball coming down one set and Gerard coming down the other, and they're actually at either ends of the thing, and then he sees him. And he calls out Richard. He looks up, so he knows.
I was watching that the whole time, going, "Take your bloody coat off, mate." And then he did, and you're like, a lot of the things they sort of you're sitting there thinking about it, and then they implement it a couple of seconds later, and you're just like, "Oh, that makes sense. That's what I would do." So it just keeps you in the moment.
Yeah, they actually did it in the real parade too.
Really? That's right.
They just had a couple of people follow him with steady cams. I think they organised to be in with the guys that he walks in with, that Harrison Ford walks in with. But all the rest of the stuff, I think, was just being followed around the actual parade.
Yeah.
So the stuff where Tommy Lee Jones like jumps over the fence, like looking over the fence and stuff,
authentic.
and you see the people kind of like, what the fuck, you know, jumping
That's Tommy Lee
back.
Jones?
Yeah, that's why they're running away. They're like, oh, he's a cranky bastard. You better get back away from the fence.
He's there going, I will not sanction your buffoonery, you bug. Shit.
But yeah, it worked out really well considering that they just weaved in and out of the
The other
and
cool
followed
thing
around.
about that is it actually goes towards Kimball's how desperate Kimball is to clear his name.
Yeah.
He would go to a place that's full of police and law enforcement just to see if this guy with one arm is the guy that attacked him.
Mm-hmm.
And there's even that little tiny sequence where he gets in the elevator and there's just cops everywhere. They're all coming into the elevator and crowding around him.
Mm.
And it's just like, why would you do that? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
But it's because he's desperate. He's now got info and he's desperate to find out who this guy is.
Yeah, that's right. What's he got to lose? He's sitting there watching the whole time. Like, what does he legitimately? He's going to go back to prison and die anyway. Like, he might as well give it a crack and try and clear his name or try and avenge his wife. Good on him.
And I like the fact that he breaks into the one-armed man's house and you find out about Sykes.
Yeah.
And then there's that whole thing where he works out this Alec bloke who he saw at the benefit and Devlin McGregor. That's where that all comes out. And then he rings Gerard. And I love the fact that he doesn't hang up.
Yeah.
So he can actually lead him to Sykes.
To the clues, yeah.
Yep. And so Gerard will start going, there's something fishy about this whole thing.
It's so funny. He's like, shit, they turned up pretty quick. He's trying to hightail it out of there.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you hear because you saw Harrison looking down at the cars, the cop cars that are parked outside the houses, and then they hear, all right, get everyone over to this bloke's place, and you hear this, there's a unit already there.
Yeah, I've got one little dislike to that, but it's more of a kind of, it's not. Yeah, when I get to it, I'll say why I dislike it. But it's in terms of the scene, it's one of the best ones. The going up and down the stairs, and everything, and the way it all works out right through to Sykes is one of the better parts of the movie, I thought.
And I actually put the whole last 25 minutes as one big like. I just thought it was awesome the way that he fights it out with Sykes on the train, and then he goes to the thing, and that's where you kind of get the sense you now realise that Charles is the dodgy one.
Yeah.
And then they fight it out on the rooftop, but the whole time you've got Gerard closing in, and you've got the Chicago police who believe he shot a cop.
Yeah. They're just acting
you're
like
adding
buffoons,
to that,
right?
you're adding them
themselves
to the mix, and he could get shot on the roof and everything like that. So all of that was really solid conclusion. It was suspenseful kind of stuff. Other likes?
That was it for me.
We talked about it earlier. I did like how ruthless Tommy Lee Jones was in that scene in the house when they're catching the
where he just leans out and goes bang bang.
And just that whole line of he's getting blown up for it. He's like, well, sir, you can blame me. I shot him.
And then he just hangs up.
He just takes it up an extra notch and everywhere and in every single point throughout the whole movie.
And I love that bit where he says you could have bargained with him.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't bargain.
I like I also liked the fashions in this. I was like Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee both dressed pretty well by today's standards. They both look like pretty well dressed. The one-armed man, on the other hand, is wearing an executive.
He recently did a deal with Frank Costanza. Not Costanza, who is it?
Yeah.
Morty Seinfeld.
Yeah.
To get a box of executives over.
He's the dodgiest bloke ever. He looks like he's an undercover cop or something from the 70s.
Yeah, he looks terrible in that bloody get up and that the one hand, the plastic hand sort of sticking out.
Cracked me up.
The executive, it's a good look.
It is. It's worked for many a man. All right, dislikes, people. I wouldn't have taken the ambulance. You are of all the vehicles to take, it sticks out like dog's balls.
But it's the whole cannonball run theory of you can go as fast as you want and you can go through red lights.
That's right. But he's also, it seems like it just takes him at the moment.
Yeah, and it's
like there's a car with the keys.
And he didn't have skills to break into cars and shit.
Yeah.
He wasn't really in the position to do it.
Yeah, it wasn't the smartest move.
It's not the best move, though.
No.
I just stayed on foot.
But doesn't it set up some glory?
I'd have taken it for 10 to 15 minutes and then got on foot, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so the sheriff at the train station that gets ripped by Tommy Lee for not securing the scene or whatever is just awful at his job. Awful. Like, I could have torn his work apart. I mean, you're telling me that we're led to believe that these guys have been there for what, an hour, 45 minutes, and they didn't find the leg irons, which have to be in very close proximity to the train, because Tommy Lee goes, have a look, and then a minute and a half later they're going, hey, boss, leg irons. I mean, come on. The guy's willing to take the word of one witness. I don't care what police, what sort of buffoonery you are sanctioning on. I don't care what you're doing. You don't go, bingo, we've got our statement solved.
You're talking about wanted fugitives, murderers. You make sure you see those corpses.
You got confirmation, If you don't have the confirmation, it's a minor quibble, but I mean, the bloke just did a dreadful job.
That fits into just with how focused they are on making sure that the Chicago police look like complete twats. And they stick to if they make a mistake, they'll stick to it to the hill.
Yeah. We can't be wrong, sort of thing.
Yeah. Which brings me to the one I was sort of mentioning before, that I don't feel like he would have gone down for this crime just because he's the whitest guy, immaculate character references. At every single turn, he's trying to help people, and that's how he lives his life.
And there is problems.
And it's like no one else could get into the apartment, but like, how much of an oversight is it? The wife's car got taken home by someone else.
As you said, we got the blunt force trauma. Yeah. There's got to be like blood spatter. There's got to be fingerprints on the weapon. Yeah. There's got to be this sort of stuff to really kind of seal the deal, doesn't there? Like,
which I didn't really think about as much when I was watching.
I guess we've seen cases where people have gone down for less.
Yes, which is why.
So that's what they were kind of going with. I think was. There's enough there to say he could have been involved.
They give you enough for a movie to satisfy your kind of quick on the run thinking that, as you said, Adam, there's
enough there to say
no forced entry. There's blood on him.
And then they keep talking about the insurance.
Yeah, so
you said to inherit a lot of money.
Yeah.
And
so that's the other thing. Like, he doesn't need money. Like,
well, that's right. That's a shame.
Which is good, but
they do say that a couple of times too.
They tie that back with.
Why would you? Why would he need the money?
Yeah. That's right. Why would he need it?
I always don't like. I don't actually like the. I like the idea of the jump from the dam, but it's actually that's the worst edited bit in the whole movie. It looks terrible. Like, you can tell it's just a dummy, and it kind of goes from Harrison going like this to a dummy just going.
The legs. He would have landed.
It's like something out of Leo Wanker or Shipskin or something.
Yeah, Leo Wanker would have looked a little bit more professional. It's funny because every time you see them, you kind of see the body start to fold up in an unnatural fashion. The fucking legs are flailing up near the head somewhere.
If I'm jumping, I'm going straight point.
To me, you take the George Miller approach. Jump off that. Well, into the water.
If you want to do a dummy, just give me 10 minutes. I'll get Paisley on the phone. He'll jump off it.
Straight down that edge of the dam. Or?
What was the one he jumped off in the? It wasn't straight down. That was the other thing.
No, it was like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to jump a long way out.
Remember Page in the Ned Kelly thing where he took a fucking 18-metre drop on his back off the fucking cliff at one point? Like,
or wasn't that in Stone?
Could have been.
He drives off the cliff in the motorbike and then lands.
No. Remember the Ned Kelly one where he just falls backwards into a little...
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no, was that Mad Dog Morgan?
That's it. Mad Dog Morgan it was. That bloke.
Well, he was trying to get away from He was trying to get away from fucking Dennis Hopper.
Well, the whole country was trying to rid themselves of Dennis Hopper.
He was like a cancer. God. Here's my favourite. This is my favourite dislike. The whole bit about him getting picked up on the road. He looks like a gigolo. He's kind of looking around all coy, like. She goes, he's just give you a ride. He's like. Yeah,
he's just done
his the next things out of his mouth going. You expect the next words out of his mouth is, "Have you got the cash?"
He's wearing that grandpa's vest. His cardigan.
got no
It's like a
doubt.
90-year-old.
I got no doubt what she was looking for. She might have been just looking for a ride, but she was looking for some action, no question.
I don't know how he's walking.
She'd been told on the vine that there was a bloke gigolo who worked that road.
Yeah, there's a gigolo on the side of the road that looks a little bit like Harrison Ford. I wouldn't mind a piece of that action. One of my biggest dislikes is there's just too many times where it's just a little fake out with the police.
Yeah.
There's just too many.
Yeah.
Like obviously he's putting himself in harm's way a couple of times, but there's the one where he's walking across the road, then you see the just strides, and then keeps walking across. But my least favourite one was the drug dealing
house,
son. Like, it just felt unnecessary.
Yeah, because actually they'd already done that with the switch with Laughlin or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
So why you didn't really need that? You could have left that out.
Yeah, it just felt like just one too many, because everywhere he went there was just a stray kind of cop strutting around or talking to him, or a cop car or something like that.
And again, I think it was they were trying to keep the tension and the suspense there.
Yeah,
But
his son ended up giving the location of him, but he escaped by
Gerard could see that he'd been falsifying the documentation and all that stuff.
It was necessary for the son to kind of point out where he was, but there's points through it where they probably could have dropped one or two of them, because the fact that Gerard is constantly on his case and constantly, figuring things out is enough for you to be going, shit, come on, keep moving. You can't hang around too long,
If them busting into an empty apartment would have been good enough and having to wait around.
Yeah, or something like, I think there could have been another way around that. But
well, it could have been that they got a tip and they turned up and he was already gone. Like he was ahead of the game. Because that's what kind of the way they played it out, that Kimball was just one step ahead. He was just slightly ahead of Gerard. And so that could have played out as well, and would have had less of that, we've seen this all before. Cops knocking down the door. And surely the cops would have come and spoken to him. He's living in the apartment.
Yeah. It didn't
actually did you know anything about these two?
Yeah. I wasn't a big fan of that one. Look, the only other question I've got, when he goes to visit the bloke in jail, right? He's working his way down the list. When you find out number 4 on the list is in jail, you perhaps say, I'll just quickly check out number 5 before I go to number 4.
He's too smart. He's too smart for that. He's too smart for that, Jed.
If 5 is crossed off the list, I'll go back to 4.
I'm thinking, 4 is like, maybe I could check out and see if I could find a photo of the bloke before I go into the prison. Better still, I'll just double check number 5. If number 5's got an address and I can bust into his house and find all the evidence, no need to.
Hang on, no.
How easy was it for him to find that evidence in that house?
I know, everything was just laying around. It was laid out.
Oh my god, there's the manila folder with all the things that would convict me if anyone ever got their hands on it.
Got to keep it in one folder just in case I have to tuck it away very quickly.
If in case I need to hide it, have it all in one place.
Oh yeah, I better collate all the damning evidence.
Quick question though. Wasn't hadn't those 5 people been getting their prosthetic limbs from that hospital? So it begs the question: wouldn't their photos and stuff have been on file there?
He only had the computer access.
Yeah,
wouldn't there have been other prosthetic places as well? How's that the only prosthetic location in? Anyway.
Well,
there's lots of little things.
I guess it was Chicago
little
Memorial and things like that. It was the Chicago metropolitan area. That's the people that were.
The computers looked like the they weren't capable of holding the photos there, but they might have had them on a file somewhere.
I watched a lot of this going.
They might have had that collected in a handy manila folder as well.
I watched a lot of this going. The police would be watching this being livid, like from back then, just going that all the work is sloppy or whatever.
Yeah.
And then also thinking there's no way you can get away with this now because you'd have to include video cameras and all that sort of thing.
Yep.
You'd have to have a face-off scenario in order to make it believable.
Well, it's a much harder movie to make now because, as you said, we
yes,
just
he was wearing gloves and everything, but
couldn't do it
now
in the
you're
same
talking
way.
DNA, you're talking skin cells, you're talking all that stuff
and just surveillance.
The old laminated IDs. He's done working with them.
My biggest thing is that, and look, I think this is a personal thing. I felt there was a slight lull after he starts investigating the one-armed men. And And also, he just strolls around with bloody impunity. He's the most wanted man in Chicago.
Yeah.
Yet
He shaved his beard.
He shaved his beard and he died. I get that he shaved his beard and he dyed his hair, but
You still want to be a little bit cautious.
yeah, wear a false beard. Imagine that. He shaves his beard, then goes with the false one, looks exactly the same.
Get a black texture and scribble on a mustache or something.
Yeah, but make it one of those ones that goes boing, twirl mustache, they'll never suspect me.
Yeah.
He just kind of rolls in. He becomes the janitor, no questions asked.
That's right.
Now that you mentioned that, isn't that what happens in Rob Flick?
It does. He becomes a doctor member. Give me 5,000 cc's.
Remember when he's sitting in the fishing shop
Yeah.
and he's doing the usual suspects when he sees a poster of himself and quickly draws a pencil, quickly draws a mustache and blacks out some teeth, and then the bloke behind the counter goes, "Hey, stop!" And he points to a guy that looks as you just described. Man, I'm gonna watch that again tomorrow as well.
That old trick of a guy standing next to the door he wants to sneak into, waiting for someone to go through it, and then rolling into it. If I see a guy standing next to a door that shouldn't be there,
you doing?
Can I help you there, mate?
I'm watching the door on the way past.
Yeah.
But again, there is no questions asked about the fact that the janitor, who's probably been working there for 10 years, just either didn't turn up or he's turned up the next day and they're both cleaning the halls.
Yeah. You've never cleaned the blinds
I don't
before.
really understand that. And no one goes, "Who the hell are you?"
There's lots of little things. Do you know which one was also little but bloody stupid? The ponytail's been given the photo. You need to identify this man, and he comes back like 4 or 5 or 6, I don't know, a day later or hours later. I don't know how much it is, and all he's done is blow up the photograph and get the name of the hospital underneath. And then that's enough to lead to the next link. It's just, I would have been like, "That's all you've done."
Yeah, if I was Gerard, you're off the case.
And Gerard's like, "That's the best work I've ever seen anybody do." You're like, that's
because Gerard couldn't be bothered to learn how to use a photocopier, obviously. How'd you blow that up? Shit.
That's probably it for me.
Yeah,
I didn't really have much else.
What about clumsy doctor fight? That felt a bit out of place.
The two doctors punching each other out in the roof.
Oh, look,
yeah.
Nickel looks ready to rumble. He's throwing a few hurting bombs.
He's throwing some haymakers though.
I was brokenhearted that they made the bad guy a European. They have to give the bad guy a freaking accent every single time. What is with that?
It was the 90s.
You know, it was someone else. I don't even think he had the accent, but then the other guy couldn't finish the job, so they had to recast.
Oh, really?
And reshoot.
Was it an actor?
And they picked him like he wasn't European enough, obviously.
They felt Hans Gruber was a good villain. Let's get ourselves a Hans Gruber.
They just, they might as well just go on the whole steps. He should have been offering Richard Olives when they turned up.
Do you remember who the other actor was?
I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was that role.
Huh.
We better do a fact check on
check
that.
Yeah. Any other dislikes? Anything else?
I liked that I'd seen this movie before we podcasted it. That was good.
Yeah.
You liked that you watched the right one this week.
Look, you know what? We've done 180 episodes. We've been skirting with one of us watching the wrong film before getting on here. So it's only a matter of time. Natural progression.
Well, it has happened, but we had enough time to rectify it. This is the first time that someone's actually turned up and said, "Oh shit, I'll watch the other one."
Alright, that is The Fugitive. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify and Podomatic. Send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au. We're on Facebook at ThrillMe Podcast Australia, at Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com, and on Instagram at ThrillMePodcastAU. Keep an eye on our Facebook page for more details of the next film we'll cover. I believe we should go back to a bit of Drek to welcome Gibbo back to the podcast. But until the next film, take it easy and we'll catch up with everyone later. Cheers. Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia or contact us at thrillme all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.